Hey everybody, it's Small G Gay. I'm going to do some reviews here of the New 52, the DC Comics reboot. And I should give you a little bit of background first. I was a big Silver and Bronze Age fan. I also like Golden Age comics. And I really like comic strips, the classic comic strips. I went through a period where I was really into underground comics as well. And the kind of arty comics. I like a variety, in other words. I've been reading some Marvel stuff lately. I've been reading all of the Captain Americas, the Ed Brubaker Captain Americas, and I really like them. Despite his politics, I am a Tea Party person, so consider that bias as I review because I am extremely biased and I am proud. I quit reading DC Comics regularly after the Crisis. There are a few times I picked them up here and there. Overall, I was not interested in post-Crisis DC. I thought the continuity was a mess. I've tried to get back into it periodically. Every time, though, it always seems kind of half-hearted and overthought and underbaked. And overall, I have to say this new reboot is no exception. I think that overall, it's all about cosmetics. It's all about new costumes for the most part. There's another problem I have with DC when they do these reboots is that they don't seem to have an overall feeling for the universe. When Stan Lee created Marvel, he wanted different elements in the universe to be exemplified by different characters. So you get the technology aspect with Iron Man, you get the science fiction aspect with the Fantastic Four, you get the occult aspect with Doctor Strange, you get the everyman aspect with Spider-Man, etc., etc., etc. You get the outsider aspect with the X-Men. It goes on. And Thor was mythological. The Hulk was monstrous, and science fiction as well. But there was a unity. There was an overall design, and DC really, if they were to do a total revamp, a reboot of their universe, they would really need to do an overall look at how the entire universe worked together. And it doesn't. It's all hodgepodge, and it's more continuity mess. Let's start out with Justice League number 1. I have Justice League number 1 here. I'm going to be reviewing these in the order that I read them. I should also say I don't have all of the New 52, the first 2 weeks of the New 52, but I have a representation. The new Justice League I thought was okay. I loved Batman's cape, the new Batman. Most of it is Batman meeting Green Lantern for the first time. At this point, there is no Justice League yet. It's kind of like how the Justice League came to be. It's the traditional Justice League from the Silver Age plus Cyborg added on to have a black character. A lot of the media was talking about how there were a lot of new characters that were formerly white that would be black. That is not true. Everyone in the DC universe is the same race they always were. They're talking about the Marvel Spider-Man, but even then that's a parallel universe Spider-Man. And Spider-Man didn't change race. Another person is taking over the role of Spider-Man. And again, that's in an alternate universe, not the quote-unquote real Spider-Man who's still white. So that's a complete misnomer, and of course the media never understands comic books just like they never understand the Tea Party. Anyway, it's an okay setup for this series. I like the art. I don't know. It's a lot of kinetic motion. In fact, I would say that overall in all of them, there seems to be a lot of kinetic motion. At this point, like I say, the Justice League is not formed yet, and Cyborg is not yet Cyborg. It looks like they're setting up the origin for him. I don't know. I would give it a C+, maybe. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash aren't even in it, and Superman's not introduced into the last page, but he does have his new costume. More on that later, which leads us to Action Comics number 1, where Superman is wearing a t-shirt and jeans and work boots. This is by Grant Morrison, the leftist. And the new Superman is even worse than UN Man was. The new Superman fights all those rich bastards, pardon my French, all those rich people, you know, that are trying to take out the unions. This is super leftist diatribe. And the new Superman turns into Clark Kent, and he's like hideous. He's a nerd. He's young too as Clark Kent. He looks like he's like barely out of college, and he's a leftist journalist. This is total leftist propaganda. He is a leftist journalist who works for a Guardian-type newspaper. He does not work on the same newspaper as Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen looks like Ron Weasley now. Everyone seems to be the same age, and it looks like they're all like 21 or 22. I don't know how they have jobs in newspapers, but they all look like they're just out of college or still in college. And there's no Perry White yet. Clark Kent lives in like a flop house with a hippie landlady, and all the people in the building are hippie, pot-smoking bohemians. They don't mention pot, but that's the general feeling. The villain is, guess what, a corporate guy who's working with, guess what, the military-industrial complex. There's one scene where they crash a building with a wrecking ball, and while people are inside, I'm assuming that they're squatters. I don't know, but that's those evil corporations for you. Also, they've set it up similar to the Hulk in that Lois Lane's father now is a general. So it's like the General Ross, Betty Ross dynamic all over again. I really resented being preached to relentlessly with leftist propaganda, and I don't know what the hell DC's thinking with their new Superman. I don't think I'll be getting this one again. Oh, by the way, Superman in this continuity does not have his costume yet, and he's just now establishing himself as Superman. However, in the other comic books that came out the same month, Superman already exists, and he has his costume already. We can only assume that this is some kind of prequel to the current continuity. Just like the last time, DC's all over the place, and there's no solid timeline. You don't know where these events are happening. The biggest claim to fame, the scenes that they were most concerned about, was the superheroes not having underpants over their tights. That seems to be the biggest concern that they've really worked on. I can tell already this is going to have to be a two-part vlog. Batman, Detective Comics, the Joker in a pile of baby doll heads. This was so gratuitously violent. None of these comics, by the way, are for children. None of them are for children. And that really disappoints me. Everything is teen, or I would even say teen plus. I mean, some of them are teen plus. All of them are bloody. They're all kind of like late-stage drug addict obsession, kind of Manson family level of violence and people getting their faces removed and gratuitous violence and gore. That said, I kind of like Batman. The reason why I like Batman better than Superman, first of all, there's not a lot of politics in it. Second of all, he's basically the same Batman, which is very weird because the Batman in this universe already is pretty much the exact Batman that we just saw in the last universe. They have not done a whole lot with him to change him, except make it more violent, maybe. But he still has the Batcave and Alfred and all of his stuff, and his costume has changed slightly. I like his cape though because it's tattered now, and it lets them really do ridiculous melodramatic things with it. It's kind of interesting because Batman is so similar to the way he was before, and Superman is so horribly altered. But I don't know, Batman sold, so they're not going to mess with success. It reminds me of the Crisis, when everything changed in the DC universe except for the then new Teen Titans. And the Teen Titan continuity was exactly the same as it always been, except for Wonder Girl. And they fussed over that Wonder Girl. Who is Donna Troy? They fussed over that for years, trying to deal with the fact that there was a Wonder Girl before there was a Wonder Woman. That's the kind of nonsense that just nonsense. But that was the same situation then. That was their only seller. So Batman is kind of now the heart of the new DC universe. He is the guiding character in that seems to be the strongest personality and the most identifiable. He's also spread all over the place. I mean, there are so many Batman family titles, but he's also seems to be in practically every team imaginable as well. But like I say, I definitely prefer the new Batman to the new Superman. They even made a joke about lawyers and crime in this, and the Batman Detective comics, as gruesome as it was the least politically didactic of any of the new DC comics. So I would give this one a B. Oh, I would give the new Superman a D plus. You know what? I have so many more to do. I have 4 more to do, so I'm going to do a new vlog. That's the end of part 1.